You are your own husband. How are you showing up for yourself right now? You are your own partner. How are you showing up for yourself? You are your own father. How are you showing up as a dad right now for yourself? Like, truth be told, you are in a relationship with yourself right now, whether you like it or not. And how are you showing up for yourself and for your parts? The parts of yourself that are vulnerable, the parts of you that are scared, that are hurt. How are you showing up for yourself right now in this very exact moment? In a previous video of mine, I laid out a Reddit post in which laid out this ideology, this worldview, thinking that women only need men at a certain point in time for their survival, and now they just don't need them any longer. Now that they can pay their own water bill, there's no like hardwiring that makes them want to be with a man. And this is a way that many people think. Many people think that women don't need men anymore. Is this really the case? Or is there a part of ourselves that's telling ourselves that in order to protect ourselves from getting hurt? Because a lot of times when you've been rejected, when you've been exiled, when you've been left behind, abandoned by certain parts of society, when you don't fit in, when you feel these things, what begins to happen is that you lose trust for your own judgment. In your body, your nervous system, you cannot sense a threat, whether this person is dangerous or not. You're gonna take them as this person is dangerous because I've been hurt, so they can hurt me again. And would you be so crazy for thinking that? Because the pain you went through is true, and the rejection that you feel is true, and we can understand where you're coming from. We can understand where that guy was coming from in the Reddit post talking about how he feels as though women don't need men anymore. We can understand that, but at the same time, is this really the case? Did women only need men to hunt and gather and defend for them, and that's the only thing that was driving women to mate with men, was just strictly this survival-based instinct? Or are we as humans all driven towards love and all driven towards connection? And that type of thing just doesn't go away. However, there's a part of yourself that feels invisible to women, and maybe that feels women in the modern era don't need men anymore and don't need you. But we do. We need you emotionally showing up for us. So how are you emotionally showing up for yourself? Truth be told, life is not easy. This journey is not easy whatsoever. Healing is something that takes place over a lifetime. You're gonna be spending a lifetime healing, quite literally, from all the pain and the trauma of your past. But until you go back and revisit those points of deep rejection and of deep miscalculation and of being burned and all this type of thing, until you go back and revisit that past and free yourself and let yourself know from this higher place that you can trust yourself again to make better judgments about who you are going to versus who you are not going to let into your life. Until you can do that, it's going to be hard to move forward, because you thinking this is a way for parts of yourself to protect yourself from being hurt in that same way that you were before, from being burned again. If you feel invisible to women, it's easier than to go out there and to try again. It's easier to think it's over before it's begun, because that will allow you to sort of protect yourself from getting hurt again. And we can completely understand why you're doing that, why these defenses are about that. But just remember that this is just a part of yourself that feels this way with women. This is just an aspect of yourself. You are not at all invisible to women. That's not all of you. That's not who you are. But if you've had life experiences that have led you into thinking this way, this sort of common denominator, this type of pattern reoccurring that's happening in your life, if you've had that and you've come to this conclusion, again, we can understand that. But with the worker card coming through, I enjoy getting in touch with who I am as an individual. I encourage you to unblend from this aspect of yourself that thinks you're just invisible to women, and remind that part of you that you're not just going to be hurt in the same ways that you were, but you have to be able to show up for yourself. I think a lot of times our assumptions based off the outside world can really have an impact on us and have an impact on our future experiences. I know for me, sometimes it's like you get so sick of being disappointed in this disconnected society, in this world where people can't be vulnerable, where people barely meet, where you're not meeting people organically, and this type of thing, that sometimes you don't want to look over at that guy or that girl because you're just afraid of being disappointed again, because you know how badly that hurts. But I encourage you to feel the part of your body that feels hurt by women. Get in touch with it and send it a healing white light right now. I'm going to pull an oracle card, but yes, I'm gonna be for real. I understand why you feel this way, but women are not thinking that you're invisible. A lot of times the mind is protecting you by creating this illusion in your reality. The contortionist card coming through. I resist those who would have me bend to their will. This has a lot to do with the fear of being hurt and being burned again, the fear of abandoning yourself in the name of somebody else. Healing is going to take a lifetime. You are going to run into women that are not healed, that are going to be in a place of maybe not being totally present with you. But that does not mean that there aren't women out there that will be able to be there for you and be present with you in that moment. I also wanted to pull a direct message from the guidebook. I recently actually got this card while doing a reading on myself. This card is called The Romantics. I allow romance to touch my heart every single day. Modes of behavior, beliefs, friends, and family, and even a place we have lived in for years can start to look strangely different when we see through the eyes of being in love. Many people become addicted to the intoxication of romance, feeling touched by the great fortune and throwing caution to the winds. For them, romance comes in short, contrived bursts, rather than a sustained lifetime of affection that soulmates enjoy. It is impossible to know whether a romance is going to last, which makes it one of the most maddening and the most exciting experiences of our lives. It's so vastly important, and it may very well be. If you have truly found your other half, the first blush of romance deepens and get better in ways that you cannot even imagine. The reason romance feels so good is because it's very similar to being with your soulmate. The difference is that when you're with your soulmate, there is no doubt, which we can assure you is a heavenly way to live. Show up for yourself and don't give up hope. I know it's easier said than done, but if you can assure those parts of yourself that are scared of getting hurt again, that you're not going to abandon those parts in the same way that you did in the past, you can remember that you have a lot more control and you're stronger and you have the ability to love. I'm telling you, women need you. Women want you. It just takes time to find that right person. It's much more complex than that. There's a lot of things to get into. There's a lot of reasons why you are feeling this way, and I'm not at all trying to take from that. We can completely understand that, but this is just kind of what I wanted to come on here and say. And I will see you guys in a later video.